Let's take a look at the questions on homework number 4. The first topic is linear equations with distribution. So in this question, you want to take this coefficient -2 and you want to multiply it by all of the terms inside the parentheses. Once you multiply, the parentheses disappear. Watch your signs. You'll notice on the left side of the equation, you have 4 terms. 2 of them have x's, and 2 of them do not. That means that we can combine these terms together before we start to use any inverse operations. So I'm going to combine these 2 x terms together by carefully looking at their signs. -6 plus 1. That's going to give me -5x's. And then for my constants here, -10 subtract 5. That's going to give me a -15. Be careful with your signs. Use a calculator if you need to. Now I can start using my inverse operations. So I see that the right side only has a constant on it, so that means I want all these constants to come over there. But in order to cross the equal sign, you need to use an opposite operation. Use your calculator to compute the math if you need help. But here, I'm going to get -30. The last step is always to divide by the coefficient, exactly the same number, so -5. Leave the x alone. Compute your math, and get your final answer. Now you can use your calculator to check your answer. So when you check an answer, you go back to the beginning, you retype everything that you see, except you erase all of the x's and replace them with empty parentheses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my answer here. Then I'm going to pick up my calculator and type exactly everything I see on one side of the equal sign. So let's take a look. Here's a calculator. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to type it exactly how I see it. -2 parentheses 3 parentheses 6 plus 5 close parentheses plus parentheses 6 minus 5. Double check that you've typed it right. -2 parentheses 3 6 plus 5 parentheses 6 minus 5. Press enter. And if it matches the number that you have, then you have done it right. Type your answer in the box and click submit. Let's try one more. Again, same technique as before. Multiply to eliminate the parentheses. Be careful with your signs. A -4 times a -4 is a +16. Rewrite the rest of the problem. Look carefully at the longer side. See if there are any like terms that you can combine together, and combine carefully. -20x plus 5x is -15x. And then my constants, +16 and +3, make +19. Now I'm going to use an inverse operation to subtract from both sides, and then I rewrite. Use a calculator if you need to. Let's see, 1, 4 to 15. So now I'm going to divide by my coefficient with the x, and that gives me my answer of -1. Now I'm going to do a check step. A check step is when you rewrite the problem from the beginning, but instead of the x, you replace it with parentheses and your answer. So our answer was -1. Now I pick up my calculator and I compute. -4 parentheses 5 parentheses -1 close parentheses subtraction 4 close parentheses plus 5 parentheses -1 plus 3. 34. That's a check. The next topic is the same, but a little bit more challenging. This time, I have parentheses and variables on both sides of the equation. This time when I multiply here, I'm going to get negative 18x, and here, negative 18. Everything else will stay the same. On the other side of the equation, I'm going to get negative 20x. Over here, I'm going to get 16, and the rest will stay the same. Now remember, you can only combine like terms if they're on the same side. So this negative 18 cannot combine with that negative 20x because they are not on the same side. But these two constants are on the same side, so the negative 18x will remain the same, but these two will become a negative 25. Over here, I do have variables on the same side. That would give me negative 22x plus 16. Now, since I do have letters or variables on both sides of the equation, I'm going to use an inverse operation so that I can bring them together on the same side to combine them. So I'm going to add 22x on the right and on the left. That allows me to combine them on the left and make them disappear from the right. And now I'm going to rewrite 4x, bring down the minus 25, bring down the equal sign, leave off the 22x, and bring down the 16. Now I need to get my constants together on the same side, so I'm going to add 25 to the left and the right, and then I'm going to rewrite 4x is equal to 41, and then when I divide by 4, this does not go in evenly, so I'm going to leave it as 41 over 4. Now I need to check my math. 41 divided by 4 does have an even denominator, so I'm going to check to see what the decimal looks like. 10.25. All right, that's not so bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 10.25 and I'm going to substitute it in for the parentheses, for the variable here. So 9 parentheses negative 2 parentheses 10.25 minus 2 parentheses minus 7. I'll do that on one side, and on the other side, I'm going to do it like this. And let's see if I don't get a match. All right, so 9 parentheses negative 2 parentheses 10.25 parentheses minus 2, and then I think I need a minus 7. Oh, I forgot a 2 here. And I forgot the 5 here. Okay, 10.25, let's check here. 9, negative 2 times 10.25, minus 2, minus 7. All right, let's see what we get. Negative 209.5. Now let's see what I get for the second one. Being a little more careful this time. And then minus 2 times 10.25. Negative 209.5. That's a match. So the answer is 10.25. So we'll type it in here, and we'll click Submit. One more time. Negative times 6x is negative 6x. Negative times 4 is negative 4. And this one we rewrite. Over here we're going to get 2x plus 10, and then we rewrite the 1. Again, when I separate these sides, I look for like terms on the same side and combine them if I can. Negative 8x minus 4, and on this side equals 2x plus 9. I think I'm going to add 8x this time so that my x's remain positive. Negative 4 is equal to 10x plus 9, And let's see, I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides this time. And I'm going to get negative 13 equals 10x. Divide both sides by 10. Pick up my calculator, although I know the answer because dividing by 10 moves a decimal place. But negative 13 divided by 10 is negative 1.3. Yep, and it is a terminating decimal, so I'm allowed to write it because it doesn't go on forever and ever and ever. So I'm going to take this value and plug it into my equations here in the left side and in the right side to do a check step. Negative 1.3. So on the left side, I'm going to get negative 6 parentheses negative 1.3 plus 4 minus 2 times negative 1.3. And then on the right side, I'm going to get 2 parentheses negative 1.3 plus 5 minus 1. Pick up my calculator so I can check. So negative 6 parentheses, oops, clear, negative parentheses 6. Let's see how that looks. I get 6.4. And then for the blue check step on the right, also 6.4. So negative 1.3, submit that answer, and now we can move on to the next topic. The next topic is equations with fractions. For each of these problems, you're going to have a fraction that needs to be distributed to the terms inside the parentheses. If you don't know how to multiply fractions, you can use the online Desmos calculator to enter fractions. Simply Google the word Desmos Scientific. Not the graphing calculator, the scientific calculator. And once you're there, you can use this fraction button to enter a fraction and then show what you want to multiply it by. So for us, we want to multiply it by 4x. So we're just going to type the 4. So 4/3 times 4. And there's the answer, 5/3, 0.33333. Now you can't write down a decimal that repeats. So we're going to put it back in fraction form by clicking this button over here, convert to a fraction. So 16/3. That's what we're going to write on our math. 16/3 times x. And then 4/3 times 12. So we go back to the Desmos calculator. We clear this, and we type this fraction button again, 4/3, and then we times it by 12. And we get a nice number this time, 16. So plus 16. Now we're going to start to solve. And we're going to rewrite. And now we're going to choose to divide by 16/3, which some of you like to do. I don't like to write complex fractions, so I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. And since I have a calculator, that part will be easy. I simply type 3/16 times negative 7. So fraction button, 3/16 times negative 7. And I get this really long decimal. I can convert it to a fraction if I want. Negative 21/16 is the answer I'm going to use. Negative 21/16. So that's what I'm going to type. Negative 21/16. And we'll do this again. We're going to multiply 3/5 times 6. And we're going to get 18/5. We're going to multiply 3/5 times 20. Use a calculator if you need to. We're going to get 12. We're going to subtract 12 from both sides. And then we're going to, instead of dividing by 18/5, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we'll type in 5/18 times -4 into our Desmos calculator. 5/16 times -4. Is that right? Oh, 5/18. Whoops. 5/18. And I get this repeating decimal, which I can't type as a response, so I'm going to convert it to a fraction. I get -10/9. So we're going to type that here, -10/9. The next topic is linear equations with decimals. And we're going to use our calculator to help us with this one too. So in this one, the -8.8 is going to stay the same for a minute. And then we're going to multiply 4 times 7x. And then we're going to multiply 4 times 5.1. So we're going to get 20.4 equals 6. And then our left side has more than 2 terms. So, oops, I forgot my x. So we're going to combine the constants. And I'll use my handheld calculator here. I'm going to do -8.8 and plus 20.4. I get 11.6. And then I'm going to subtract 11.6 from both sides. 6 minus 11.6. And I get -5.6. We'll divide by 28. And let's see what we get. -0.2. -0.2. All right, last section. The last two sections talk about special solutions, and those are infinite solutions and no solutions. So everything we've been working with so far has had one solution. And what we want to do is figure out why does it have one solution. So let's take a look at some of these options here. I have some drop-down menus with the words same and different. And then over here, I have some phrases. Same constants, different constants, or constants can be the same or different, it doesn't matter. So one thing we talked about in class is that in order for you to have a special solution, and it doesn't matter if that special solution is infinite or no solutions, both of those special solutions, no solutions or infinite, both of these items have to have the same variables on both sides. So if I have a 7x on the left, I have to have a 7x on the right. If I have a 17x on the left, a 17x on the right. If I have a 317 on the left, but a different number on the right, then that has one solution. But if we have the same variables on both sides, then we don't know whether we have infinite solutions or no solutions. How we would decide is by looking at the constant. If the constants are the same and it's a perfect match, that's infinite. If the constants are different, like a C on one side and a B on the other side, then that's no solution. So that's what we're focusing on here. So let's take a look at the example we have, -2x, -2x. So we've got a potential special answer. Question is, should the constants match or can they be different? And we want it to have no solutions. That's what that word 0 means. We want it to have no solutions. So for an equation to have no solutions, these have to match, but these constants have to be different. So what they want you to do is to pick any number in the universe, but it has to be different than this. You can put any number you want in this box, but you cannot put a -2. Any number you want, but not a -2. So I think I'll put the number 5 here, because it doesn't matter. And then I have to talk about why I chose the number 5. I chose that number 5 because when you have the same number of x's, but you have different constants, you will have 0 solutions. Let's do that again. This time, they want us to have infinitely many solutions. Remember, to have infinite solutions, you have to have the same variables, which we do have, but you also have to have the same constants. So that means that the number in the h box has to match the number in the other side. So we have to have the same solution, same constants. So that means I need to type a 6 in this box and only a 6, no other options. Because when you have the same number of x's and you have the same constants, you have infinitely many solutions. All right, they want this one to have 1 solution. Now remember, in order to have 1 solution, your coefficients of your variable terms have to be different. That's it. Nobody cares about the constants at all. They can be anything we want. They could be the same. They could be different. They could not even be there. The constants, the coefficients of the variables must be different. So I can type anything I want in this box, but it cannot be a 4. So I'm going to type a 5. Because when you have different x's, and nobody cares what the constants are, right? As long as you have different x terms, the constants can be the same or different. Now for the last topic, you're going to practice deciding whether it has infinitely many solutions, yes or no. And you don't have to do all of the math. They're not asking you yet what the answer is. They just want to know, can you tell by looking? And the answer right now is no, I can't tell by looking, because there are too many items on the left-hand side. So I'm going to simplify this and say negative 10x minus 15. And now I can decide. Do I have the same constants? Do I have the same coefficients? No. So this equation has 1 solution. And now they're asking me what it is. So I'm going to finish solving this here. And I'm going to add 10x to both sides. And I'm going to get negative 15 equals 19x plus 21. I'm going to subtract 21 from both sides. And I'm going to divide by 19. So I'm going to say that the x value is negative 36 over 19, and I'm not going to try and convert it to a decimal. Just going to leave it like that. That's it. One more time. Let's do some simplifying here. Negative 14x minus 56. Negative 9x minus 6. So this definitely has 1 solution. And now they're going to ask me what that solution is. So I'm going to add 14x to both sides. And that gives me negative 56 equals 5x minus 6. Add 6 to both sides. Negative 50 equals 5x. Divide both sides by 5 and get negative 10. And that concludes homework number 4.